This is RIFF Radio, a presentation of RIFF Magazine Online, your source for music news, interviews, and reviews from the Bay Area and beyond. Find more at riffmagazine.com. I am Mike DeWald. On this episode, we catch up with Richard Patrick from Filter. The band is back with a new album, The Algorithm, an ambitious concept record 7 years in the making and the culmination of a roller coaster ride. The band is also set to hit the road of the Freaks on Parade tour with Rob Zombie, Alice Cooper, and Ministry. That hits the Toyota Pavilion at Concord September 22nd. We welcome Richard Patrick to RIFF Radio. Just a couple weeks away from the release of The Algorithm. It's an album that's a long time coming for you. I think the earliest origins of it go back to 2018. How did that process kind of evolve and morph along the way to what kind of became the final product?
Well, the weird thing is about being in a band is I'm the main guy, and I am the singer, and I do most of the songwriting. And I collaborate with different people. I collaborate with my live band, Johnny Radke, Elias Mullen, Bobby Miller. And I'm songwriting 24 hours a day. I'm constantly writing new music. I'm constantly working on, work on film scores. I do that kind of stuff. So it was primarily just like, okay, right after Crazy Eyes came out, we toured for a little while, and then it was like, okay, now what? Get back into the studio, and I started doing movie scores. And I bought a computer, and I dived into the engineering aspect of making records, and I hadn't done that for a while. And I primarily made myself the gatekeeper of all things that were going into in and out of the sessions. So I put myself in charge again as a producer as well as the songwriter. The first couple of songs that I did were with my friend Brian Leesgang, and that was Thoughts and Prayers in America and Command Z, and another song called Summer Child. And then we were going to do a record called Rebus, and that fell through because of the Pledge Music debacle that happened and killed my fan base, essentially. So I had to kind of start over, but I took those 4 songs and then I started writing with some other people. Zach Monowitz wrote 3 songs on the record with me. And then I worked with Sam Tenez on 3 others, actually. And I also worked with Mark Jackson and Ian Scott on Obliteration. And once I built up an arsenal of tunes, I decided to go with Golden Robot as my label. And they're from Australia, and they're really big, huge fans of Filter, and that's important. And then I put the songs together, and this is over a period of like 7 years, essentially. And I was doing movie scores in between. That's why it kind of took a really long time. But as soon as I got these 11 songs, I decided it's The Algorithm. I was toying. I was kind of publicly toying with different names. They Got Us Right Where They Want Us at Each Other's Throats was one of them, but that was too long. And I told everybody that's too long. So The Algorithm was the name. And The Algorithm essentially means everybody has an algorithm. Everybody has been assigned algorithms online. An algorithm is a problem that needs to be solved for the most part, if you look it up in the dictionary. My biggest problem was alcoholism. I had to get over alcoholism. And I talk about that in the song Obliteration. But everybody has an algorithm that they have to deal with. So The Algorithm is kind of like our mission statement. Now, when it comes to the visuals and everything like that, it's about this astronaut. The record lyrically can kind of be summed up as this astronaut comes back to Earth to find it completely destroyed. And there's a few people that live on the planet, and there's like a little girl who's in the video for Obliteration. She's got a little kitten that she's protecting. which I just gave. Spoiler alert, that's the video. Uh, um, but it's essentially a concept record about an astronaut that returns to Earth to find it blown up. And what were the reasons why? That's what we discover in the lyrics. Is like, is it the fact that we're not taking care of the planet and climate change? Because climate change is an actual occurring thing. This is real. It's not a Chinese hoax, as Donald Trump would like to say. It's actually a scientifically proven fact that this is happening, and it's completely caused by man, no matter what the big energy companies want to tell you. Or is it our own devices? Did we blow it up with nuclear weapons, like maybe Putin or God knows starts something, or Kim Jong-un or something like that? Or is it just the fact that we had the wrong information, misinformation? So those three things are kind of like approached on the record throughout. And the battle of misinformation I think is just as valid as climate change or nuclear war or war in general. So that's kind of the whole concept of the record.
I was going to say, I think your songwriting is always a kind of a reflection of society in the moment. And, if you look back over these past 5-6 years, there's so much, from some of those things you mentioned, the pandemic, a political climate change. Did you find that sort of guided, where the concept of the album was heading, sort of as all these things unfolded? There's just so much to kind of digest and react to as you're going through this creative process.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. It's crazy. And yes, all of that, all of the above is in the record. It's all like easily digestible lyrics that are just like basically telling everyone, like, hey man, do you understand that they've got us right where they want us, at each other's throats? That's what's happening. That's what the misinformation campaign, all the lying, this is what they want. They want us divided.
Sort of an extension of that, a lot of the conversation right now is, AI and technology. And I think a lot of that conversation is around what we're seeing with actors in Hollywood, but I think there's a relevance to music as well. I mean, is there is there, I guess, a similar conversation with musicians, producers, songwriters, about similar concerns?
Ain't nobody writing songs for me. You know what I mean? Ain't no computer program, coming up with chord progressions for me. You know what I mean? Everything that I use is straight up either a guitar or a synthesizer sound or keyboard part or something. It's not suggested by AI. I mean, lyrics are easy and fun to write. I mean, that's the joy of doing it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know if it's going to affect me at all.
Now, a few months back, but caught you at Sick New World in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Just a big celebration of a lot of these bands that came up at the same time. But I think it was sort of reflective of kind of the moment we're at. And I think a new generation discovering these bands and getting excited about this music. Are you seeing the same thing in some of the crowds you're playing to? Of this new group of fans coming in? Yeah,
there's a new bunch of kids out there that want to discover the old stuff that as well as the new stuff. And thank God. I mean, well, I don't believe in God, but thank goodness that they are there and they're totally welcome, and we love them. And come on to the show. Come on to the Big Rock Show.
You mentioned film scoring a little bit earlier. When you're going into a project like that, how different is sort of the creative mindset you go in with than maybe putting together a filter song? I guess what are the things you have to think about when you're doing a project like that?
Story. it is essentially the story. I get together with the director. We watch the entire thing. We do a spotting session of what needs to happen. The producers usually chime in. The studio usually chimes in. But it's essentially you approach it as the film and what the film needs and what the audience should be feeling at any given point in the film, and you just have to achieve that through a musical means. Everything can be solved musically. I mean, any kind of emotion can be felt within music, and I've tapped into all of those different emotions over 8 records. And it's very fun, and it's very rewarding.
And in tapping back into the production and engineering side, as you're going through creating an album, how do you know when a song is done, when a record is done, and sort of not kind of telling yourself to keep, oh, well, now I'll do this and now I'll do this. How do you reach that point that you say, okay, this is a finished product?
Yeah, I mean, it's wild because you have so many ideas out there. But I'm always the first one to be like, yeah, that's good. Thanks. Moving on, like I'm okay with being finished with stuff. Like, I mean, for this record, it was like, I think we got 11 songs that are cool. Let's go ahead and add drums to them and do some overdubs and redo the guitars maybe. And then mix it. And I hand that over to my co-producer, Brian Virtue. And Brian Virtue and I go sit down with Elias Mullen, and he plays drums on everything, and we do that in a couple of days, and then we kind of make sure all those performances are perfect through editing. And not that there's that much editing with Elias, but and then after that, it's kind of fix up anything else that needs to be fixed up, maybe add a guitar part or add some kind of thing. But usually I get them to a certain spot, and I'm like, yeah, this is good. I like this. This is cool. And that's it. That's a record. It takes a little longer when you have so many different side projects, I mean, there was an ambient section that I went through. If you look at my YouTube channel, I have all these Moog jams that I did. I just do those I'll do that for 2 weeks and make weird, strange electronic Moog music. You know what I mean? Like I just constantly keep myself going because it's what I do. You know what I mean? It's who I am. It's what I do.
And now on the visual side, do you like having the kind of a hand in the art direction and sort of what the album looks like as opposed to what it sounds like?
I work very closely with my friends. Sam Sharon did all the visuals, and then I've been talking about this astronaut, for the last 6 months with all these different video directors, and so I have a say in what happens visually. Some records I don't. Some records I'm like, what do you think? What do you think is going on? And I let the video directors come up with their own treatments and kind of let them do their thing. I don't know. But I feel really creative these last couple of years, and I'm kind of like, I have a vision for every song. Like, we're gonna do the video for Burn Out the Sun, and I have it's a very simple idea, and it's going to be cool. I'm gonna work with a video director that can deal with a smaller budget and pick his brain and have a good time doing it.
And now in a few days you're hitting the road, literally and figuratively, back touring.
Parade.
Jumping on with Rob Zombie, Alice Cooper, Ministry, be out in the Bay Area end of September. Some legendary names and a lot of good people on that tour. I mean, that has to be an exciting bill to jump on for a summer tour.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I mean, Rob called us last year and was like, "What do you think about doing this?" And I was like, "Fantastic! Thank you so much for inviting us." And Obviously Ministry was a life-changing band for me. Like the Land of Rape and Honey was literally hit me when I was like 17 or 18 or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, there was 2 times in my musical career. It was like before Land of Rape and Honey and after Land of Rape and Honey. And when I got into industrial music, there was this kid that was working on, he had just gotten a record contract. His name was Trent Reznor. And I got involved with Nine Inch Nails because I thought they were the closest thing to industrial that was out there. And the rest is history.
Now, what's the landscape right now touring sort of, as bands are back out, post pandemic? We've heard a lot of, I guess, horror stories of bands, that saying it's challenging. There's a lot of people looking for slices of pie, and it's tough to be on the road. Is that something that you found in getting back out there?
I love being on the road. Yeah, there's a lot of money to be thrown around and all that kind of stuff. I mean, basically, I'm here for the songs. I'm here to spread some fun with some music and have fun doing it. And the business end of everything is always kind of crazy. It's never been cool. It's always been one-sided. Record companies make all the money, or now it's websites make all the money, music streaming sites. Spotify went up by like $15 or whatever. It jumped in price from like $8 to like $14, and we're not seeing any of that. You know what I mean? It's website people who make all the money. So, I mean, I've never been in it for the money or the business. I'm in it for spreading music around and having fun. And the living is awesome. And I love the fact that I've been able to make a living off of this for the past 30 years. But I'm doing it for the right reasons. I'm doing it because I get to make music that I get to make, and no one's telling me what to do. And, except for the audience, and the audience wants good, solid Filter records, that's their only critique.
And now we've talked about all the different creative projects you've been involved with, so many different things. Now, of all those, is there something, I guess, creatively that you haven't done yet that you say that is something I want to get involved in? That's a project I want to do that you're kind of looking forward to?
I've always wanted to dance. I want to get involved with dancing. No, yeah, I'm good. I mean, for a while, I thought maybe acting would be fun, but then, my brother does that. People would think I'm just doing it because my brother does it. But a lot of people think that I should, we're saying I should have been an actor too, I would have loved to have done that. But yeah, it's mainly movie scores and rock records,
Well, we look forward to the next rock record coming here in a couple of weeks, and we'll see you out here end of September. It's
end of September, baby.
Big tour. So I appreciate you taking a few minutes, and we'll see you out here real soon.
You got it. Love you, and thanks for having me.
Our thanks to Richard Patrick. The new album is The Algorithm. Catch the band on the road this summer on the Freaks on Parade tour. For more music news, check out riffmagazine.com.